I, 27 female, started working at my dad's law firm when I was 18. My dad was the big boss, and two of the lawyers working there were Eric, 41 male now, he was 32 when I met him, and his wife Carol, 36 now, 27 then. At first, I was just answering the phone, making coffee and stuff like that. The issue is that Carol got pregnant, and after the baby was born, she wanted to return to work as soon as possible. I never enjoyed working for Carol because she was always very demanding and uptight. I liked Eric more as a boss, with him being way more relaxed and funny. My dad says they're both great lawyers, but Carol is better. They had problems finding a babysitter because of their crazy work schedule, so they always brought the baby to work. My dad allowed it because he really didn't want to lose Carol. So I had to take care of the baby whenever he was in the office, feeding, burping, changing his diapers, getting him to sleep, and generally giving him attention. The kid is now in grammar school. 3 years ago, Carol and Eric started their divorce, and they both had to leave my dad's firm because they hated each other so much they couldn't work together, but it would have been unfair for one of them to stay. I'd become very close to their son after spending so much time with him in the office. Eric and I also became close friends. He started his own firm and asked me to go with him. He also opened up about his feelings for me, and we started dating. Now we're living together in his big apartment, and my life is generally great. The issue started last week when Carol came by to drop off the son. I was waiting by the door happily and said hi to Carol, but she was not in a good mood. She told me that my happy face was annoying and that she missed when we were all using face masks so she wouldn't have to see it that much. She always has that harsh sense of humour, and I'm generally not that affected by it, but this time it made me feel bad. I started to cry a little in the elevator and the kid became worried about me. He told me that he also had cried that week when other kids at his school made fun of him for wearing a Sonic costume to class. I said that those kids were bullies and that he should ignore them. He asked me if his mom was a bully, and I had to be honest and said that sometimes she was. The issue is that apparently he later talked to Carol about all this and asked her to stop bullying me. She's angry because she feels I'm putting her son against her, and that wasn't my intention. Maybe I should have been more careful with my words, but I also think she could be a little nicer to me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Look, don't get between parents, because one thing parents will unite for, even if they're feuding, is their child, or they should if they're good parents. I assume Carol is a bit annoyed with you because she and her ex built up their skills, got married, had a kid, and now a younger model came into the picture. Even if you say nothing was happening beforehand, it certainly doesn't read that way. She probably is sick of seeing your face at the house she should be in with the child she had with her ex. If someone took over my position in the family, they'd be hearing a lot worse than that. Exactly, I'm sure Carol is an excellent attorney. I'd be working on not allowing you around my children. Also, be honest. Did you get chummy with Carol's husband while they were still together, or this office romance just happened to bloom after they divorced? You happily left your daddy's firm for his, but you got together after? I mean, she was 18 and he 32 when they met. She was Eric's boss's daughter, receptionist and de facto nanny. Eric was like, well, heck, if I'm getting divorced and starting my own law firm, what do I really need? A receptionist, nanny, and a new person to bang. OP is a 3-in-1 deal. But don't worry, Eric's apartment is big, so it's all worth it. I wonder what OP's dad thinks about all this, especially because Carol was the better lawyer. I bet her dad wishes she'd run off with Carol instead. We can't imagine that the romantic relationship overlapped with the marriage and OP isn't the only one to blame. Carol wanted to bring the baby to work with her. It sounds more like Carol wanted him close and thus the secretary became the daycare. Carol and Eric were not too busy to find a babysitter, nor were they unable to afford one. This sounds like a preference to me. I would say they had OP taking care of their kid instead of paying for daycare. Also, I get that OP didn't have to call Carol a bully, but Carol did insult OP right in front of her kid, and that's Carol bringing the kid into it too. Kids absorb everything around them. They don't miss snide comments. I'd say everyone's the idiot here, except the kid. He sounds very compassionate despite growing up around idiots. My daughter, Tween, wanted a puppy for her birthday, so my wife and I went to a shelter and picked a puppy for her. We made it very clear that she had to be responsible for it. That means she'll have to clean up after him, feed him, check his water bowl, etc. We would hire a trainer and take him to the vet when needed, but besides that, she had to take care of it. During the first month, things were okay, she did as she promised. But now, over 2 months since she got the puppy, she complains about having to clean when the dog poops or pees on the floor and when she has to take care of him. This week she reached the last straw because she forgot to give him water. My wife had to fill his bowl because she didn't do it. I told her this was enough because a dog is not a toy and she promised to be responsible. I contacted some friends and family and asked if they wanted the puppy. Finally, a co-worker said she wanted it and I took him to her house. My daughter is very sad now, but I think she needs to learn a lesson here. My parents told me I was being unfair because deep down I knew that my daughter was going to fail in being responsible and I set her up for failure. They think that as a dad, I need to teach them but not punish them the first time they make a mistake. Are they right? I think that that's good advice if it was something else, but a dog is a living animal and it deserves someone who truly cares for it. You are the idiot. Apparently you don't understand children. A tween has the attention span of a butterfly. Your parents are right. You should have known that she wouldn't be responsible and that the so-called adults in the house would need to ensure the puppy was taken care of. Giving away the puppy was just cruel not only to your daughter but also to the dog. Dogs are pack animals and your family was his pack. Hopefully he adapts well to his new home and considers them his pack now, but not all dogs do that when they're rehomed. Some become depressed and lonely. Also, from what OP said, he gave away her puppy because she forgot to fill up its water once. The horrors of an adult having to, check my notes here, fill a shallow bowl with water. I wonder if OP made the little girl pay for the dog food herself out of her allowance. Poor kid. Poor dog. Idiot parents. Bro, you got your kid a puppy and then took it away. Give her the tools to be successful, man. Jeez. Set alarms for checking water and food bowls. Get an automatic food dispenser. Go with your kid to take the puppy on walks at first. You must teach her what it is to be responsible for an animal. You gave your young daughter a puppy and told her to figure it out. No doubt about it, dude, this was not cool. This part of this kills me. They didn't prepare their child for a huge responsibility, parenting OP, refused to help teach her along the way, and because they set her up to fail, they've taken a dog away. That's a huge trauma that could have been avoided by the parents just parenting. Like you said, OP, the puppy isn't a toy, yet you passed it off just like nothing. Dogs are part of the family, and you just passed him around like he was worthless. I wonder if the lesson she'll learn is that you'll turn your back on her when she doesn't meet your expectations. My great-aunt set up savings accounts for all of her female relatives. In our culture, education for women is not really valued, and she thought that was BS. She lived with her father in London, where she was educated. She went on to attend university and became a doctor. She married a British man, they moved to America, and had a great life. She funded the education of as many of her nieces and grandnieces as possible. When she passed away, she left money for every girl relative she could. My parents managed to access the accounts that were set up for my sister and me. They used it to pay for my brother's wedding. My sister didn't care because she got married 2 years out of high school and had no intention of going to college. When I graduated, I went to the bank to get money for school and it was almost all gone. There was like $13,000 left. I asked my parents about it and they said they needed the money. I finally found out where the money went. I got furious. I got student loans and moved out. I'm a great source of shame to them and I don't give a damn. I'm currently suing them for the money that was left for me. My entire family is against me. They all think I'm a complete idiot for airing private family business in public, and that I'm putting money ahead of my family. My friends are all on my side, but are all Americans and don't really understand my culture. Neither do I, to be honest. My brother called me up and offered to pay for my university if I dropped the lawsuit. I agreed as long as we had a legally binding contract. He said I was being an idiot for not trusting him. I said he shouldn't have accepted my money for his wedding. It's causing all kinds of embarrassment in our community. I am somewhat ashamed to be doing this, but I don't want to have this debt I shouldn't have. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your parents didn't borrow your money, they stole it. I hope you have all the documents to show that the money was yours. Your brother is also the idiot for trying to get you to drop a lawsuit with what is most likely a lie. If you have a chance to start life without student debt, you do whatever you can to make that happen. Your parents, and I'm sorry but their culture sounds completely toxic. I'm glad you got out. They all think I am a complete idiot for airing private family business in public. No, they think you're an idiot for holding them accountable for their awful actions. They thought you would be a pushover, but you're showing them you're not. Your great-aunt would be proud of you. And you aren't the one putting money ahead of your family. They did when they stole your money. They already showed you how little they think of you or respect you, or love you as a family member when they screwed you over. There wouldn't be any dirty laundry to wear if they didn't use your education fund for your brother's wedding in the first place. OP, he is from the same family and was going to screw you over just like your parents did. I approve of absolutely every step you've taken, especially dealing with your brother. He got angry because he didn't want to be held legally responsible if he didn't pay it all back. He knew it was your money when it was given to him in the first place. He's just as guilty as the parents. Exactly. Aunt set up that fund to stop this kind of misogynistic preferential treatment. You know, the fact the money was set up expressly so the females could get an education, and then it was stolen to be used for a male's wedding. It's just all kinds of extra messed up. Allowing a court to settle an issue when someone has broken the law is not airing private family business. It's protecting yourself from illegal and/or abusive behaviors. You have every right, legally and morally, to do so. Nothing to be ashamed of. Get your money, OP. My 28 male girlfriend, let's call her Emma, 26, likes to wear high heels and has ever since I've known her. She's self-conscious about her height, but it's not really a big deal when we're together as I'm short. She's 5'2" and I'm 5'6". The issue, however, is when we go out together, she normally drives as it's her car and she drives in her heels. I repeatedly tell her she should switch to flats and not drive in them as it's dangerous, but she refuses and says she knows how to drive in them and is used to it and claims in some cases it's easier as you can pivot between pedals easier. I think she's not being honest as I can't possibly see how it would be easier. Last week she got into a small accident and rear-ended someone. I wasn't there, but a car changed lanes in front of her and she rear-ended it. I bought her some sneakers and told her to use them as driving shoes and left them in her car. And she called me an idiot and said her accident had nothing to do with the shoes and that I should drop it. Am I the idiot here? I just want her to be safe. You don't sound like you understand Emma as a person separate from her relationship with you. I infer this because you think that her issues with her height shouldn't be a problem because you're not very tall. Why would her perception of her height have anything to do with you? Then you assert the danger of driving in heels. It doesn't sound like you have any personal experience wearing or driving in heels, but because of your superior mind, you can see that her choices are bad, even though they relate to things you don't understand, like what's easy and hard in heels. Further, you assume that a car accident she was in was caused by her and by her driving in heels. Further, you insist on it being your job to fix what you see as wrong with her. You are the idiot for treating her like a person with no agency and like you know her experience better than her. I disagree. OP's not the idiot. Woman here, heels are objectively dangerous to drive in for many reasons, according to literally every single expert on the topic. One I saw cited by an automobile association was that if your heel is elevated, it's much harder to judge how much pressure to apply to the pedals. This might explain why she rear-ended someone. Maybe she didn't brake hard enough because she had no concept of how much pressure she was applying. It also damages the heels, just FYI. It's not good for the shoes either. The fact that the majority of people here are arguing against an actual proven fact that is supported by the entire industry, like this on the same level of saying seatbelts aren't necessary, that's how well established this fact is, because, but I know better than the experts and the crash tests and all of the evidence, that is a reason I'm terrified of being on the road. You all don't know what you're doing, which is why so many people get hurt. I would refuse to ever get in a car with someone who insisted on driving in heels, just like I would refuse to get in a car with someone who regularly went 50 kilometers over the speed limit or drove while drinking, because it's proven not to be safe. I, 27 male, am American and my girlfriend, 28, is British and ethnically half Indian. She's not religious and culturally very British, speaks with a British accent, etc. We live in the US and recently started living together. She works at a tech company. I noticed about half the days when she goes to work she dresses in Indian clothes. Even her heels are shiny gold or silver. She looks really cute and I think it's fine for a party or festival, but it looks really out of place for the American workplace. I have Indian friends in America and the women dress Western here except for festivals. I told her to tone it down a bit as it looks out of place in America and she might face discrimination, and some of the heels look too unprofessional for the workplace. I work at a bank and everyone is dressed really formally. She got upset and told me she would wear whatever she pleased and was acting cold toward me. I didn't push it, as ultimately it is her choice and she can face the consequences. Was I the idiot here? She doesn't even like India and always criticizes the place, and she identifies as British. You are the idiot very much. You're worried about discrimination, but it sounds like you're the only one with a problem with it. Indian clothes are not inappropriate in the workplace. There are formal clothes from India that are perfectly appropriate, like those in the photo you shared. Also, just because she criticizes the country doesn't mean she doesn't identify with Indian culture. She identifies as British as a nationality. She apparently does identify as connected to Indian heritage. Those are two different things that are capable of being mutually exclusive. I'm Indian, live in India, and still criticize India. It's possible to identify with and find meaning from heritage and hate significant adjacent factors. Honestly, it's great that she feels comfortable wearing her culture's formal wear even if it doesn't blend in. Dude, there's nothing unprofessional about her outfit. You keep leaning into how your girlfriend is British, but make no mistake, she's also Indian. Also, if no one has complained at work about what she wears, then you're creating discord where there isn't any. Perhaps you're the one who's bothered. Yep, OP is not comfortable with how his girlfriend dresses, and has, reversed it into him wanting to protect her from the discrimination and harassment she's sure to face. She works in a tech company. Presumably, she earned the education to get herself there. She's navigated cultural norms in at least 2 different countries. By OP's own admission, she's capable of dressing in both Western and Indian fashions. She sounds super capable, and yet somehow, OP has seriously convinced himself that this full-grown woman needs his help seeing how people might treat her differently because of her attire. OP, did you really just mansplain your girlfriend? Her work hasn't even complained. Why are you? Stop criticizing her choices. I always knew I didn't want to have kids. I don't have any specific reason for not wanting children, I just lack the desire, and I strongly believe that the question should be, why do you want kids, instead of why don't you want kids? My older sister Sadie was very vocal about wanting to have children in her early 20s, but now that she's in her late 20s, she changed her mind. Our parents never liked that I didn't want kids, but they didn't care much about it either since they knew Sadie would give them grandchildren. But now that Sadie's changed her mind, they're panicking. They invited us both over to dinner, then confronted us on why we didn't want to have children, and demanded a reason. I told them I just simply lacked the desire and I expected Sadie to do the same, but instead, she threw me under the bus. She decided to perpetuate the child-free stereotype and said that she was too lazy and selfish to have children. She doesn't want to start her mornings by making breakfast, getting the kids ready and taking them to school. She's just too lazy for that and wants to keep her nice vacations and hobbies. Thanks to her, now our parents are bugging me too and believe I'm a selfish, lazy person. I told Sadie she was wrong for telling our parents that's her reason and she should have thought about me before opening her mouth. Sadie said she has every right to tell our parents whatever she wants, and it's not her fault they are the way they are, and that I can't stand up for myself. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Why is your response of, I lack the desire, more valid than your sister's, I don't want to sacrifice my lifestyle? How is her being honest about her choices throwing you under the bus? Sounds like OP feels she had some dibs on being allowed to be child-free because Sadie was going along with the status quo up until she wasn't. Now that both of them don't want to have kids, she's blaming Sadie for her parents not having any goddamn boundaries. OP and her sister should be aligning to agree to go low contact with their parents if conversations revolve around their progeny, and lack thereof. OP is being very dishonest with herself. Acted like any reason Sadie gave wasn't going to cause the parents to blow up. They don't care about the reasoning. That was just a pretense to start an argument. All they care about is getting grandchildren. OP is mad she lost her shield but doesn't want to admit it. Sadie's right. If you want your parents to leave you alone, set your own boundaries instead of relying on someone else to keep them off your back. My girlfriend just bought a house and is so excited. She invited a ton of people over for a housewarming. She put so much work into everything. The place looked terrific and the food was delicious. Right after dinner, while my girlfriend was getting dessert, her brother proposed to his girlfriend. I was mad because he hijacked my girl's event she'd worked so hard for. Before she could answer, I told him to sit down and quit being rude and disrespectful to his sister. He was mad, but his girlfriend looked so embarrassed. They ended up leaving. The party was very awkward after that. A lot of people left early. My girlfriend's mom was furious at me because she wanted her son to stop living in sin and I ruined it. My girlfriend said I was sweet but didn't need to do that. She was sad that he did it, but she said she's used to her family hijacking her events and that it isn't a big deal to her anymore. Her brother texted me, calling me an idiot. Was I an idiot for telling them to have some class? Not the idiot. It's just plain rude to start hijacking events for your proposal. Oh, my sister bought a new house? Perfect situation to make sure it revolves all around my proposal. Your brother-in-law sounds like a cheapskate who thought he could get away with it. Is he usually so entitled? Not to mention this was his sister's party with probably most of his sister's friends. Shouldn't he want mostly his and his girlfriend's friends and family there? He knew exactly what he was doing otherwise. Why wait until his sister left the room? If he didn't want people to see what an idiot he is, he shouldn't have tried to use his sister's house, her party, her food, her money, her effort and her hostessing to cheap out on a proposal to his girlfriend. His girlfriend surely deserves a better proposal than that. Brides-to-be, if your guy does it, it should merit an instant no due to him showing poor judgment. Yeah, it kills me that this stuff never ends well and somehow fools keep thinking theirs will be the exception because they're just so awesome. I swear we need to include a semester of Basic Manners 101 in freshman high school. Your girlfriend says she's used to her family hijacking her events, so clearly this is not a one-time thing. It seems her family uses every happy moment of hers to have the spotlight shining on themselves. LOL, if I'm being honest, I laughed a bit reading this. You're slightly the idiot for at least not giving his girlfriend the time to answer his proposal, so it's everyone's the idiot here. Brother picked someone else's event for a proposal, which is a no-no. However, it was already happening when you stopped it. From your description, the attention had already been called to him and his girlfriend. All eyes were on them, so all you succeeded in doing was making it a bigger scene. Now people will remember your girlfriend's housewarming for the interrupted proposal, not for the lovely event it was up until that point. 2 weeks ago, I, 27 male, along with 2 other friends, made our annual week-long trip to our mutual friend Alex's cottage. For years, one of our longest-running jokes was that I should bring my 46-foot saltwater fishing boat to the lake. This year, after looking up the lake's policies, we decided to make it a reality. To make this happen, we all split the costs of both the permit and the marina fees. The first 4 days of fishing and boating went very well. However, the same couldn't be said for the 5th. The issue started over some fishing we did in the same bay as Alex's cottage. After using my fish finder, we found a prime spot on the other side of it. Roughly an hour into our being there, a woman, 20 to 30s, we didn't know, kayaked across the bay to us. When she got there, she asked to speak to the boat's owner. When I introduced myself to her, she started saying that the boat wasn't allowed on the lake. My response to her was to point at the lake permit in the windscreen before asking her to leave and not disturb us anymore. This made her furious and she started cussing and screaming at us. For safety reasons, Alex started recording her just in case she did anything stupid. This only made things worse as she started trying to pull up our fishing and anchor lines. In doing this, she wound up breaking my $3,000 rod. This was when her demeanor did a 180 and she began to plead with us not to call the police. As collateral, she offered to replace it and pay for the next year's permit. I rejected the offer and used my VHF to call for police assistance right in front of her. The result was her getting fined for angler harassment and arrested for felony destruction of property. 2 days after all of this happened, Alex and his parents found themselves being visited by the woman's mother. From what he told me, she started going on off them and saying we were idiots for getting her daughter arrested. She believes we should have accepted her apologies and offered to replace it. Looking back, I am conflicted as what I did could be considered vengeful, as she legitimately offered to make amends. Am I the idiot for getting her arrested? Not the idiot. There's no reason to believe a woman harassing would pay you back what she broke. Also, her mom is witness intimidating and I think you should call the cop on her too, for giggles. Of all the similar situations I've been in, the times that I did not call the police came back to bite me in the butt. It sucks that she got charges and fines. Maybe next time she will think twice before being a terror. Exactly, the way the daughter acted and then how the parents acted towards you would have only solidified my confidence that calling the police was the right action. It's clear that the daughter never faced the consequences from the parents and therefore grew up entitled and not thinking she should have to deal with the consequences of her actions. The fact that a grown damn woman has mommy out fighting battles for her says a lot. You do not owe grace to someone initiating violence, destructive and unpredictable behaviour. Who cares what their mother thinks? Perhaps she should have raised her daughter better, or ensured she would not harass others if she had an issue where she couldn't control herself. My male 35 girlfriend, Abby, 32 of 6 months, has 2 cats. A week ago she broke her leg and arm while climbing a climbing wall. I offered to help her with chores, we don't live together, and that I'd stay with her while she couldn't do much. She didn't want to accept, saying it was too much work, but I insisted. I thought it would be a great trial run to potentially live together in the future. We haven't talked about that yet. As I said, she has 2 cats. Her cats don't go outside, and she has carpets in her flat. She has 3 litter boxes. She instructed me that they need to be scooped daily and wiped down on the sides with pet wipes, and she said carpets need daily hoovering with cats. At first I didn't mind, but it quickly got annoying. I tried talking to her about this, suggesting that 3 litter boxes are too many, that they can be cleaned every few days, etc. I tried to get her to see that she was being unreasonable and over the top, but she wouldn't budge, always finding an excuse why she needed to do it that way. One day I was about to scoop the litter box, and there was just one poop. I told her that was ridiculous. It's just one thing, it can stay there until the next day. She asked if I was at least going to hoover, and I said no. There's only some fur on the ground and a few pieces of litter. It'll be fine until the next day. She got annoyed with me. The next day she told me her mother was coming to stay with her and that I had to leave, and she called me later to chat. Honestly, I was angry and we argued, and she called me a selfish idiot. She still hasn't called me, and my mate said I should have waited with changes until we were living together because she couldn't dismiss my point of view then. I don't know, I kind of feel bad. I mean, she couldn't really do it herself. Was I the idiot? Should I call first and apologise? She still hasn't called me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Oh, you're going to try to force her to do things your way after you've lulled her into living together? Well, you just blew the surprise. I suspect none of your mates has ever lived with their girlfriends, LOL. And no, she's not going to call you. Oh my gosh, he's 35 and thinks, if I trap her into living together, she'll have to listen to me. It's a little scary that people plan this out, like, don't demand your way until she's stuck with you, that way she'll eventually give in. This is why I won't remarry if my husband dies. He's great, and I don't like my odds of finding a good one after him, LOL. As a cat owner, I will explain something. Cats hate dirty cat boxes. If they get too dirty, cats will go elsewhere. And she's right about scooping boxes multiple times a day. Her cats are basically her kids. This was an excellent trial run. She learned you really don't want to care for her cats, her kids. So hopefully she dumped you, and you learned a valuable lesson. You don't want to be with a woman who has cats. My female 25 sister, 27, is getting married. We don't come from a wealthy family. Her fiancé and his family are also not wealthy, so neither our parents nor his will help pay for the wedding. I got married 3 years ago, and my husband is wealthy enough, so we decided to help pay for their wedding. We will pay for the venue, catering, and the bridesmaids' dresses. That's only what we agreed to, but we're happy to pay for more stuff in case the money is needed. We don't really have problems with money, and it makes us happy to help them celebrate their wedding. I don't have a job, and I love to plan social events, especially weddings, so I offered my help to my sister, and she's very happy with my help. Up until now, we've had many discussions, and my sister, future brother-in-law, and I have been on the same page for almost everything. However, it's about time she buys her dress and picks the bridesmaids' dresses. So I went over to her apartment and I suggested we could go shopping on the weekend since she doesn't work. We could take our mom, her future mother-in-law, and maybe someone else if she wants to. My sister was taken aback by this request and said she planned to go alone because she didn't want to feel pressured to pick a dress she didn't like. She said it has happened with some other stuff and doesn't want it to happen with the dress. I told her that that's not fun at all. Dress shopping is a nice activity to do together. I am also her maid of honor and I want to help her pick her dress. She told me I would bully her into buying a dress I like and not one she actually likes and wants to use on her special day. We argued about this for a bit more. The more we spoke, the worse I felt because this was supposed to be a bonding activity. I invited her to go buy my dress when I got married. Why can't she do the same? Then I told her I felt like her ATM because she only wanted my money but didn't want to include me. She told me I offered to help them pay for the wedding, they didn't ask, and that I was an idiot for trying to gaslight her into doing what I wanted. Then I left. My husband agrees that if my sister can't do something as small as letting me go with her to buy her dress, then I should tell her I will not help pay for it. However, my sister cried to our parents, and my mom called me to tell me off because it looked like I was using my husband's money to get my sister to do anything I wanted for her day. You are the idiot, and your sister is right. This isn't about you wanting to bond, this is about you wanting to have some control over your sister. If this was really about bonding, you would have said, I'm sorry you feel I would try to take over your day, but I promise I won't. You can get any dress you want, I just want to be there with you. But no, you won't say that because you want to choose her dress for her. It also sounds like it wouldn't be the first time OP forced her sister into doing something she didn't want for her wedding. It's nice she offered to pay, but she needs to remember this is not her social event to plan. OP is an unreliable narrator who is clearly steamrolling her sister to do things OP's way because she has money. Your husband is the idiot too. It's her wedding, not yours. If you will add conditions to your gift, then keep it. Gifts with strings attached are not gifts. OP, you're a bulldozer. You want things your way and don't see that people are unhappy with those choices. I wouldn't be surprised if the sister elopes just to untangle herself from this supposed gift. My husband's older brother Tom is married to Valerie. Valerie has a preteen daughter who Tom adopted last year. Valerie and Tom are expecting another baby together. Their daughter had suggestions for names for her baby brother or sister, mainly names that were nature-themed: wren, dove, lark, river, hawthorn, forest, cove, ocean. My name is among those she's suggested. My own brother has a bird name along with me, LOL. Tom told his daughter that those were not real names and that I'd always disliked and hated my name, and they didn't want their little baby to be the same. He said this in front of my husband and me. My husband thought he was crazy and told him I'd never said that. Tom glared at my husband. Then his daughter asked me if I hated my name, and I said I didn't. Valerie said it didn't really matter what I thought, but they didn't want their kid to have a weird name, and she told their daughter they wanted the baby to have a lovely name as she has. Their daughter said she liked my name better and didn't think her name was nice. My husband and Tom's parents were like, "Let's not insult other people's names," when Tom and Valerie started to protest and reminded them that they were in the presence of someone with one of the so-called ridiculous names. Fast forward a couple of hours and Tom came over and told me I needed to tell his daughter that names like mine do not work on people and that I want her to stop wanting a sibling called that and start embracing her name and the name they will give her future sibling. He told me just because I wanted to live like a freak with a weird damn name didn't mean he wanted that for his kids. I told him he was a lying idiot for putting words in my mouth and expecting me to do the same. I told him nobody said he needed to like my name, but to insult me, and then ask me to lie with him was unbelievable. I told him I didn't need to lie for him and wouldn't, and to get out of my damn face. My husband and I left almost immediately after, apologizing for leaving abruptly to my in-laws and to our niece. Tom called my husband and said his daughter could have heard, and I was an idiot for saying what I did to him when she was in the house. My husband disagreed, and I do wonder if I went too far. Am I the idiot? Edit. Part of me suspects some of the overreaction came from the fact she doesn't like their better names, and I say better because everyone has different tastes in the end, and worries she'll go for a weird name for herself one day. They want to shut that down. Let me get this straight. He lies and insults your name to your face in front of his daughter. Then, when his daughter says she doesn't like her mom's name, he says she shouldn't insult people's names. Nah, honey, you stand your ground, he's a moron. What the heck is Tom's issue? Tell Tom to take Xanax. I've seen kids called Naruto. Whatever name they pick will be fine. You did exactly the best thing to solve this, OP. But the ease at which he lied to her in front of people who he knew would know he's lying speaks volumes for how much he probably lies and gaslights that little girl in other situations. I feel bad for her.